Hi, I'm Elaine Harding. Welcome to my blog at stampwithelaine.com. Even though I'm not an angler or a fishing enthusiast, I couldn't help but fall in love with this tackle box die. It's from the Let's Go Fishing Sweet collection in the new May 2023 to April 2024 annual catalogue. You'll find it on pages 78 to 79. I used the sample in the catalogue to give me a clue as to what these items were for. If you follow me on YouTube, yesterday I published a 101 on the Gone Fishing dies. And these three elements here make up this contraption. I don't know what it's called. I assume that these are the various lures with hooks on them. And of course you've got your flies. And I think that's probably something to keep it afloat, like a buoy. But that's the inside. And these dies here cause a ripple effect in the water, and as you can see it also cuts a slot at the same time, so you can poke the fish through like that. Now I didn't want to end up with loads of Father's Day cards, so I actually stamped my Father's Day sentiment on a separate piece of cardstock, put Tombow on the back, allowed it to dry so that I could reposition it, so I can put that there temporarily. Then when I want to use this for a different occasion, not just Father's Day, I can. You know, I could use it for a birthday or a congratulations card or a thank you card. So let's gather the supplies. Obviously you'll need the Gone Fishing bundle, so this is the photopolymer set and the dies. I also use the Alphabet Alamo dies to die cut the letters Dad out of the silver foil specialty pack. You need some basic white scrap to stamp the images and die cut it for your tackle box. Poppy Parade, pecan pie, that's for the stick to put this bobbin on. Well, I'll call it a bobbin because of the fact that you have to use thread on it. The Baker's Twine Essentials pack, these come in 5 colours, in basic black, grey granite and very vanilla. There's 5 yards of those on each spool, which is 4.6 meters, and then they also have crumb cake and white and 10 yards of that, so that'll be 9.1 in metric. You need a whole sheet of A4. Half of it you'll make into your card base, and in Europe this will measure 8 1/4 inches by 5 7/8. So in metric that will measure 21 centimeters by 14.5 centimeters. And then on the other half sheet of Pebbled Path cardstock, I envisaged so many ways that you can use this compartment die. You could use it for cosmetics, trinkets, or even as a shaker card. It's a very tight fit. So I actually put my dies on the cardstock to see how much room I had. And because in Europe our cardstock is 1/4 inch smaller than the US and Canada, I just managed to squeeze it in, but I had to put washi tape on it to keep it in place because there's no room for error. So I stuck painter's tape on it, and then I took a scissors and carefully cut round it, and I wanted to make sure that there was enough to cut the tab here. As long as there's no metal showing when you flip the card over, then you're covered. The inks I'm using are Mossy Meadow, Wild Wheat, Smoky Slate, Boho Blue and Poppy Parade. I forgot, and Pebbled Path. We'll also need the darker of the Pebbled Path stamping blends. I'll tell you why in a minute. I want to show you how I extended that stick. Let me cut some cardstock first. Put your die up like that because you want it fairly long, and put the top cutting plate shy of the end of the die, okay? So it doesn't cut right through. Then wind it on and just move the die down a bit so you can still feel the groove. I'm going to switch it over, turn it round and put my plate, stagger it so this bottom plate, the cutting plate base, is away from the lip of the white base plate, and then put the top plate on and shy of the end of the die and wind it through. Now you see the two ends, okay, and you just snip it off. It might be a little bit crooked, but it will be covered up by that bobbin. So I've already put dimensionals on the back, so I can stick it on here. Oops, I think that's too long. Okay, then I die cut one in Poppy Parade, and I've already put glue on the back and allowed it to dry, Tombow glue. So now I can stick that on top. Then take the baker's twine and I'm going to make a loop and tie a knot, because then it'll be easier to tie it around this stick. Right, wind it round, and I want to tie a knot. Sometimes I wish I had more hands. That's it. So tie that tight and snip a bit off. Better to have too much than too little. I'm going to set that aside for the moment. We also need foam adhesive strips because I've raised this compartment die above the card. Can you see it? And that's why we need the Stampin' Blends pen, because I want to run it across the side of the foam adhesive strip so the white isn't so stark, and it's best to do it while still on the foam adhesive sheet. I'm going to take that off. It's best to use the flat of the brush end rather than the tip, because you don't want to damage your Stampin' Blend pen. Okay. Also need some blending brushes, need some adhesive sheets to put on the back of the silver foil. Silver foil marks if you get glue on it, so it's best to use adhesive sheet on the back of the cardstock. For the inside of the card you need a basic white piece cut at 3 3/4 by 5 1/2. In metric that will be 9.5 by 14 centimeters. So now that I've sorted out my foam adhesive, you want to make sure that it doesn't show on the other side, that it is square with the width of the compartment. Now you will get messy, so make sure you clean your hands before you carry on with the card. Now these are the bits that come out from inside here, so keep those because you need them later. Now I'm going to go over the compartment with some Pebble Path ink. Oh yes, it's much easier to work on the paper, isn't it? Rather than up in the air. And that's just to give it a bit of depth. I want to do that before I adhere it to the compartment box base. I'll do the same with this as well. Now these bits I said not to discard them because we're going to stamp and reinsert them into the box. So I'm going to leave that one blank because that one I'm going to glue the letters Dad in it. There's my card base, so I shall glue the box onto the card base. I'm going to stamp the fly in Smoky Slate. In fact, I'll stamp all the things I need in Smoky Slate first. I need 2 of those, 2 of these, and 1 of the baubles. This float, it could be a Christmas bauble, couldn't it? Now I'm going to switch to Poppy Parade and I'm going to stamp off. Now you see this curvature here, you want that to be in between these 2 lines here. Well, I'll try my best without getting my head in the camera, and if it's a little bit off, no, that'll do. Then I want to fill in with this one and switch to boho blue, stamp off, stamp on. Then I want to do the feather for the fly, turn it on its side and see if I can get that correct. I was slightly off, but it doesn't matter. Now switch to Wild Wheat and I'm going to stamp that off as well. And you see that hole there? You just want to line that hole up with the eye and you get it in the right place. Clean the stamp and then switch inks to Mossy Meadow, and I'm going to stamp this off as well. Position the eye over that dot and stamp. Then I'm going to die cut these, so you need platform 1, the thin die adapter platform 2, your base plate platform 3, the die with cutting edge face down. Now when you're doing these, make sure that the whole stamped image is visible, then you know that you're cutting it in the correct position. If for any reason part of it is obscured, that means you haven't got the die square. So I'm going to put tape on that so it doesn't move. So by the magic of YouTube, we die cut these pieces, put adhesive on the back and dimensionals, and put it on the silicone mat so that I can save a bit of time. So I'll put the A first in the middle, and I'll put Dad on either side. Then I do that to the inside of the card, the compartment I mean. Bring back my bobbin. I've already attached adhesive strip on the back and pop that there, and then sort of wind the ribbon round. I think I might have to secure it with a glue dot because it won't stay. You can roll up the glue dot and put it on the back of the ribbon. Stick a glue dot to the back of this weight, and hopefully that will catch the end of the ribbon. No, the baker's twine. We're almost there. Last thing to do is this. I'm going to use this die, the smaller of the ripples, over here, and run that through the machine. Ink it up with boho blue and just put a little bit of colour at the bottom of the card to make it look like water. Now you see these bits of a fish where it's just a partial one, so it's like just the head but there's no tail. You don't have to waste it. You can still use it. So I'm just going to fussy cut that from the Let's Go Fishing Designer Series paper, and I'll just pop that through at an angle like that. Then you can use a glue dot to keep that down, and one underneath here to keep him down. And then use Pebble Path ink and make sure that that label is straight, and stamp Happy Father's Day on it. Now I'm going to put Tombow glue on the back and allow it to dry so I can take that off if I don't want to use that sentiment. While I'm waiting for that to dry, we can glue this to the inside of our card. So glue it on with equidistant on all four corners. Now this is a card that's, if you're going to send it, then be aware because of the thickness of this, it'll probably cost extra postage. I think that's repositionable now, so I'll pop it in there, and voila, the card is finished. So I hope you've enjoyed today's tutorial. It is rather a lot of work because there's so many components to make up the card, but it's worth it in the end. So thanks for joining me today. All the list of supplies are below this video in the show more section. You can also find me on Facebook, Pinterest or Instagram. If you'd like to read more, then the link to the blog post is also below. Thanks for watching. Bye.